Hello, my fellow readers. In this video, I'm going to quickly talk about the book You Will Get Through This Night by Daniel Howell, popular YouTuber and now a mental health advocate. So I decided to pick up this book primarily because it deals with mental health. This is a practical mental health guide. So even though this is by Daniel Howell because he shares personal stories about his mental health journey and what impacted his mental health, it was done with mental health professionals for the guidance part. That's on steps that you can take in order to, one, recognize when you're having mental health issues, but then two, steps that you can take to, one, deal with those issues, but then two, move forward, if that makes sense. So as it says here, it's broken down into 3 sections. This night is to learn how to manage your thoughts and feelings in tough times. Tomorrow is to change your everyday habits to be healthier and happier. And then 3, the days after that, is to understand your behavior and how to treat yourself with compassion to tackle life's challenges. So I thought that this would be a really great read for helping on the mental health journey. And I think there are a lot of us who, especially over the past year and a half, have struggled a bit more with our mental health than perhaps previously. Not always, because it can just depend on your circumstances and, you know, what you've been going through. But I know for me, there's definitely been some tough times this past year and a half. So I wanted to see the guide, I wanted to see the steps, and I wanted to see if there were, you know, healthier things that I could do in order to get through those tough times. And really, there's some great practical advice in here. You know, remembering your breathing and, you know, pausing. I think sometimes we get so wrapped up in everything that we forget to pause and breathe. But both things are essential. If you can pause, you can breathe. And I don't know, part of what's helped me in the past is realizing that even though I might feel like I'm standing out, or that I did something so huge and everybody's always going to remember it and judge me, most of the time people are so wrapped up in their own selves that they don't necessarily even acknowledge what you did, or they've done something similar as well. And that has helped me cope a lot in the past and just moving forward. I still sometimes have dark times, but you know, I am slowly using tools as well to not be so down or anxious. I think there's definitely parts of that you're always going to have, because it's not a curable problem. It's something that you have to take steps and deal with every day. And that's fine. Don't feel bad either about that, because there are lots of us out there that are dealing with similar things. Because the mind is a very interesting place that does a lot of weird things. So anyway, I loved that this book did use a lot of personal stories from Dan, which, if you've watched his videos on YouTube from the olden days through now, you've probably heard a lot of them. But it was nice having it broken down here, but then also those steps that could be taken for healthier mental health and living our best lives that we can and appreciating what we have. There is also a great audiobook of this that's read by Dan, where he can add a few more things to the audio, like calming music and actual pauses for the exercises. So if that sounds better to you than just reading the book, the audiobook is out there. It's well narrated. It's really good. But I did want to get these signed first edition copy and just throw my support in there, because I think mental health is something that we should be supporting, and there should be more recognition and acceptance than there is. And so I always want to throw my support behind that whenever I see it. And whenever artists will bring up the topic of mental health, I am very much in support of them and their messaging and the fact that, yes, we should be talking about this. And there are quite a few musicians and things that talk about it too, because it should not be the stigma that it is, but that still does exist in the world. I'm just going to pause. This is not about the book, but there's a storm happening right now. So if you hear thunder or I suddenly lose power around me, I'm sorry. There was just thunder and it kind of like spooked me. And I'm like, I should probably say something about this. So as I'm filming this, there is a storm. By the time you see this, there will be no storm. Hopefully there'll still be me. So anyway, what else to say about this book? I don't know what else I can actually say about this, because it literally is just a guide to what you can do. It deals with sleep. I do like, my big thing, I feel even held me back with doing anything, including like this, is that social media element and how people really use that to just be mean to one another, which I don't get. I'm not the type of person who even likes to be mean or make comments about anybody, because I don't feel that that's my place. Like, we all have issues and problems and flaws, and I don't get judging people on any of that. But I have lived with that anxiety and that fear of judgment from the time I was very young. It's like innately engraved upon me. I don't know. I don't know why I had that, if there were specific reasons, or if it was just an overall feeling that I had about, people judging other people. But definitely, if you look online, this happens all the time, and it's also turned into not so much a forgiving space, so it makes me anxious all the time. You'll never see me on Twitter. I'm sorry. I did have a Twitter a long time ago, like when Twitter first started, and I dropped it because I think it's a very toxic atmosphere, at least for people like me. It just creates great anxiety in me, and that happens a lot of times with a lot of different social media. I'm glad to be able to do this and not feel as much anxiety about it, but even that took a long time. And I think that's something to be recognized too, that even when we are on social media, are we doing our best to make the world a positive place, or are we harming one another in that space? And I think there are a lot of people that harm other people, and I don't know why. I don't know if they recognize that that's what they're doing, but there's much to be said that when you put that negativity out there, you are literally killing another person. And I think there needs to be more of a consciousness about that. So you'll never see me making comments that are negative on somebody else. I'm not that type. I always think about that impact. And I think especially too, you don't know if that other person might have mental illness, and if it could help spiral them into a very dark place that they can't get the help to get out of. I don't mean to go off on a tangent about that either, but that's the kind of thing that sometimes this makes me think about, because I think of my own personal self. Sorry, just hit the microphone. It makes me think about my own personal self and what has held me back, the fears that have held me back from doing things because of what I've observed. And I hate to think that other people are experiencing the same thing or worse. And I don't know. I wish that more people would think about the greater impact that they could be having. So anyway, there's talk on here about social media and what kids today especially have to deal with that I didn't have to deal with when I was their ages. Like, it's there now, and it's something that I worry about and have anxiety over and worrying about judgment and whatever. But for many kids, they've lived with it their whole lives, and they do determine like what to do online and on social media based on like what's popular or what they think people want to see, or worrying about the judgments of those people. And so I always worry about how many of them are actually even able to live their truth, or how much of it is just influence from other people. And I don't know, that it's sort of horrific. But anyway, I would recommend You Will Get Through This Night. I did think it was brilliant. I thought it was emotional, but I thought as well, great advice for working with and living with mental illness. So I appreciate it, and I would recommend it to others as well. And that is it for this video. Until next time, bye.